When working with web forms, it's important, of course, to make sure that the fields that need to be filled in are filled in. Back in the old days, if you wanted to do this in the browser, the only way to do it was with JavaScript. These days, we don't have to do it with JavaScript, but sometimes you might still want to. So let's take a look at how to do that. So the only one that I really need to make sure is filled out is this state field. So I'm going to scroll down to that field. Here it is. Now, as of HTML5, we have a required attribute that we can just add right on to most fields. And in most browsers, we will instantly get something that will require the user to fill it out before the form will submit successfully. So if I switch back over here and reload, I can try clicking Estimate Total now. And the browser, without any JavaScript or anything on my part, except for adding this required attribute, tells me, hey, you got to select something here, buddy. So that works great. But there may be times where, for reasons of user interface or what have you, you may want to add on to that or substitute something for it. So for now, I'm going to take this attribute out, and we're going to take a quick look at how to do this with JavaScript. So here we are down in my submit handler. So what I'm going to do is retrieve the value of this field and see if there's anything in it. So I'll copy this document.getElementById, and I'm going to substitute sState. And what I need to do is check its value. So if I inspect this to see what all is in there, I can see that the values that I'll be returning are state codes, CA, IL, and so forth. And if select option is there, it's blank. So basically, I just want to make sure that this is not blank. So I'm going to add a conditional here, which checks this and then does something based on whether this is true or not. So I'm going to say if, and your conditional needs to be in parentheses, if this value is blank, that is an empty string. Using 3 equal signs in JavaScript is a good habit to get into. It's not always the right choice, but if you can use it, it's generally a good idea. 3 equal signs will make sure that you're checking exactly for this, not something that's, kind of like it. And in this case, I know that if it's empty, it's going to be the empty string. So I'm using the 3 equal signs instead of otherwise just 2. So if this is blank, we need to do something. So I'm going to create another set of curly braces to surround this block. And then I'm just going to use alert for now. This is a global function that will just post a little alert. So I'm going to say, please choose your shipping state. I'll save the file, switch back over here, and reload. Now if I click Estimate Total, here's my JavaScript alert, which tells me to choose that shipping state. If I select anything else and click Estimate Total, no error. One more thing you can do here. Of course, you could check any value this way and do whatever responses you feel are appropriate. But one thing I'm going to do in this case, I'll show you, is I'm going to set the keyboard focus for the browser on the field that needs to be changed. So what I can do, just like I added an event listener using the add event listener function, I can also do what's called triggering an event. That is, basically cause the event to happen using a function that is pretty much always the same name as the event. So I'm going to use the focus method, which fires the focus event, which puts keyboard focus or mouse focus on a form element. And it's a method, which means it's a function, so I'm going to add those parens. Save the file. Now I just reload the page to make sure I have the freshest copy. Make sure that state is empty. Take keyboard focus off it, and click Estimate Total. Now I get the alert to choose the shipping state, and I get keyboard focus. So that means that you can see I'm moving my cursor away, and I can use the arrow keys to select these items. And of course, when you're creating your web form, you can create a series of if statements that do all kinds of checks on these various elements to see if they are blank. The HTML5 required attribute is a very nice browser-native way of dealing with this, but if you have more advanced validation requirements for your various forms, you might need to get into something called regular expressions to check the state of whatever the value is to say, does this phone number field have enough digits, or various things like that. JavaScript has a full regular expression parsing engine. Using that is beyond the scope of this course, but if you end up needing to look at text processing in any kind of serious way, or you just want to be a text processing wizard for your own nefarious purposes, you can look at using regular expressions here on lynda.com. So that's an overview of how to make sure that a field is filled out using HTML5 or JavaScript.